Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be diving into this webinar with you today, into this topic. This is like a very big topic, close to my heart, and lots of material to get through. So my goal is 40 minutes. We'll see if I make it, but obviously your time is valuable, my time is valuable. So let's dive in. We are going into a really big topic here, and I really hope to help you have some insights and go through this one shift to build a business you actually love so you can finally attract more clients, more freedom, and more joy from the work you are meant to lead. And my name is Kat Sapanta. If you don't know me, I will dive in a little bit about my story in just a moment. So in this training, we're going to talk about something most business advice completely misses. You've probably been told that if you want more clients, you need better marketing, better strategies, better visibility, better funnels. But after 14 years of working with entrepreneurs online, being in the internet marketing, digital marketing space, I've noticed something fascinating. Some people can implement the exact same strategies, but get completely different results. Like literally, it can be the same and the results are monumentally different. And you may see that as well with people that you may follow. Some people may have a big following, some people may have a small following, but results can vary. And so it's not ever really dependent on how big your audience is, how much content you're posting or not posting, whatever you may be doing. Those strategies are kind of the the end product. What we're talking about here is like the foundation. So why? Today we're going to talk about the real reason. So over the next hopefully 40 minutes, you will learn a little bit about me, the hidden reason many coaches and practitioners struggle to attract clients, the small identity trap that keeps businesses stuck, the shift into your soul-led business identity, my identity expansion framework, and then how to lead from your soul-led identity to create a business that you actually love. So let's get started. So my name is Kat. My name is actually Katarzyna. I was born in Poland, but moved to Canada when I was like 5 years old. So from Canada, we ended up in Costa Rica. I'm a mom to a little wild child, 6-year-old, soon to be 7-year-old. Not so soon, but in a few months. But she thinks she's already turning 7. Beach bum, living in Costa Rica, also since about 2012, and I've been online since. So over the years, I've helped entrepreneurs build profitable coaching businesses. I've helped clients launch sold out in-person retreats and online retreats, create offers and programs online, and attract aligned clients and build six-figure businesses. So these are the clients that I've worked with. A few years ago, I was working more with groups and building communities, and the past few years, I've gone more behind the scenes, one-to-one, but I relaunched a few months ago, more into the group space. So you may be seeing me doing more videos and webinars and things like that. So for a long time, I taught strategy. And when I first got started online, everything was about strategy. I did literally everything under the sun. I dove into learning about marketing from, email marketing, social media marketing, blogging, websites, affiliate marketing, like just everything, direct sales, like anything and everything, because I wanted to learn how to market. I knew that if I wanted to be online, whatever it is that I wanted to sell, I had to learn how to market it. So that's why I dove in head first. I got really, into strategies and different strategies and things like that. And then when I started to work with people, I quickly realized that even if they were doing the same strategies that I was doing or teaching, it wouldn't always work. And there was something deeper that was happening. I noticed a pattern. Two people could implement the exact same strategy, but get completely different results. One person would attract clients easily, grow quickly, gain traction, and others would struggle to gain momentum, would second guess everything, would feel stuck in strategy loops, go into shiny object, let me try this way, or maybe change offers or whatever it was, but there was a constant change. And the difference didn't end up being strategy. The difference was their identity. Sorry, I couldn't see the word because my face is covering it. The small identity trap. So this is what I call the small self. Most entrepreneurs are operating from what I call the small self. And the small self, I'm going to dive into that. What does that mean? It looks like constantly changing strategies, constantly second guessing your message, comparing yourself to others, chasing the next tactic, thinking that you have to learn more, another thing, trying to prove yourself, and it leads to inconsistent clients and income. Does this sound familiar? Why strategies alone don't work. You can keep trying strategies until the cows come home, but if they're coming from the small identity, nothing sticks. Because when you operate from that identity, your message feels unclear to you and to your audience. Your audience feels confused, and you may also feel confused, and your energy feels very uncertain. And clients feel that. So people don't just respond to strategy, they respond to who you are being. The identity shift. Here's the shift most entrepreneurs never end up making, and never maybe end up making the money that they want online and building the business that they want, growing their, if they're a practitioner or a service provider or coach. Every business is asking its founders to step into a deeper identity. When that happens, your message becomes obvious to you and to your audience. The right audience recognizes you, your strategies simplify or seem simpler to you, and visibility grows naturally, not because the strategy changed, sometimes it can, but because you did. The soul-led business identity. When you step into your soul-led identity, something powerful happens. Your business begins organizing itself around that truth. You stop asking, what strategy should I try next? What should I do next? What content should I post? What offer should I, put out there? And you start asking, who am I truly here to be in this work? From that place, your message becomes magnetic. Your audience becomes clear, and your offers become aligned. So this is the identity expansion framework. This is the framework I use with clients that I, began to use almost unconsciously, because I realized this early on, that I could teach strategies till the cows come home. We literally have cows everywhere here. Being in the, we live near the beach, but we're like on property with lots of fincas and jungle and all of that. And we always have horses and cows come through. So there are 3 stages. Stage 1 is identifying that small self. Stage 2 is creating that identity shift, which, I'll be honest, it's not something that happens overnight, but it is something that can happen. We evolve and we grow as, we continue in this life, and we can go through these shifts multiple times, and we will always continue to. But there is one shift that you can make, that you start to lead more from that soul-led identity. So let's break it down. So stage 1, the smaller self, operating from fear, from proving yourself, from overthinking, from constant comparison, from imposter syndrome, from all of those places, leads to strategy confusion, never really being sure about something that you're doing, inconsistent messaging, and inconsistent clients. You feel like you're constantly trying to figure things out, and nothing is really working. So stage 2 is that identity shift. This is the turning point. And I've literally seen clients go through this. I've seen myself go through this. And it's like this shift happens, and then everything starts to change. It happens when you begin recognizing the deeper identity your work is asking you to step into. And this is where clarity starts to appear. You start noticing and seeing the different ways in which, I believe the universe always supports us. As long as we're moving forward, it'll continue to support us through signs, through what I call little whispers from your own intuition. And also externally, you will see signs of something someone says, or a video or something. And you start to become aware of that. And you start seeing the message you're meant to share, the people you're meant to serve, and the exact business model you're meant to lead. It's like all of a sudden, a lot of the pieces from the past start to click, and you start to see those things. Whereas when you're stuck in that smaller self, and in a way, I don't want to call it the smaller self, because it's just us, but we operate from trying to keep ourselves small, where it's the way that we perceive ourselves, where we think that maybe we're not good enough, and it's worthiness, and it's all of those things, and we operate from that. But there's always a deeper calling, a deeper truth, a deeper intuition that we can tap into. And this is what that is. And this is where you kind of go into more, and this is like building a muscle, like going to the gym and building a muscle. As you step into this, once your identity starts to align, which means that you kind of come into congruency with what your bigger soul-led identity is asking of you, because it's always there and it's always asking of you to look at those signs, to listen to that intuition deep down, to ignore all of the comparison and all of the, the ways we may view ourselves from a bad perspective. You have to start to see the good. You have to start to see the good in yourself and your accomplishments and all that you have to offer for people. And then you begin to operate from a different level of conviction, a different level of clarity and alignment. And you begin to live more and more, because it is a muscle, but you begin to live more and more in congruency with that deeper intuition, with that deeper soul-led identity that's always compelling us forward. And the results, sometimes it appears as if by magic. Like, it literally, I've seen these shifts with clients and I've seen the shifts with myself, where all of a sudden things start to work, and all of a sudden, but it's not, it kind of is magic. It feels like magic, but it's like, this is why that shift happens, and your messaging becomes clearer. Your audience feels more aligned. You start to bring in people into your business that you actually want to work with, that you love to work with, and strategies start to simplify themselves for you. It's not a questioning of what should I do. You kind of know what to do, and you just take those actions, and it feels, this is the difference between that hustle culture, do, where we think of the things that we should be doing versus what's coming from within us. What next step that we know we should take from within. And it's a different kind of pull. It's a different kind of feeling. And clients become consistent, and strategy finally begins to work. So this is a bigger picture. So again, that kind of smaller self, and I don't mean it as a negative. I mean it as, it's a part of you, and it's something that you embrace within you. It's something that's there, but it's a perspective. And when you operate from this kind of smaller place, keeping yourself small, this identity that maybe you no longer are, that you are being called to move out of, and when you move out of this, you stop operating out of fear, out of lack. And yes, we may kind of get pulled back and forth a little bit, but this emergence happens where you start to shift and change out of this into that bigger identity, into that truer self, that soul's calling identity. And I believe we all have that. I've always had this compelling feeling in my life to go towards these sometimes scary, sometimes challenging changes in my life. But that's how I got to where I am. That's how we, our story, lived in Toronto and sold everything and started traveling and came online. And I found my true calling and purpose. Whereas for, my 20s, I was going from job to job. I was working different places, and nothing ever felt like this is it for me. But when I found this, I knew that this is what I want to do, and this is how I kind of thrive and how I feel fulfilled. And even though we may stumble, even though life may throw so many things at us, which I've experienced the last few years, you're always being called to step out of that, and always being called to that deeper kind of place from your intuition through those whispers. And you just start to listen to that and start to follow that path again. And then everything kind of starts to work for you. The things that you're doing don't feel like there's so much effort. It's not that hustle feeling. It's that feeling of feeling alive, and feeling alive in what you're doing, and feeling fulfilled and purposeful in it. And it's like, no question, like, yes, this is what I want to do. You wake up in the morning and you do all of the things that you want, because you step into that place where these things drive and pull you towards them. And so this is that kind of identity shift framework. You create awareness around it. You start to release those older perceptions of yourself, those older identities that you no longer are. And you begin to realign and connect with that deeper intuition, and you begin to embody it. And as you begin to embody it, everything begins to expand and everything begins to work for you. And you don't feel so much like things are against you and things aren't working and confusing. It feels like this flow comes into your life. So now here's the interesting part. Excuse me, let me just take some water here. Most coaches, practitioners, service providers try to build their business by constantly asking themselves questions like, even if you're just getting started and you haven't really put out an offer yet, or maybe you're working one-on-one with clients, or maybe you're working offline, maybe you're a speaker or a coach or a yoga instructor or breath work or any of these things, and you're trying to come online, and you're asking yourself, which niche should I choose? What offer should I create? What marketing strategy should I use? Because there's a million marketing strategies out there. But those questions come from the smaller self, the self that is still hiding and is still caught up in a lot of those fears. The thing that starts to shift is to start asking the right questions. So over the years, I've developed a questioning process that, again, I was kind of using this a little bit more unconsciously when I first started, but it's because I noticed this pattern in people. And I had this process that helps you uncover and start to step into that truer identity. Because people don't discover their deeper work by thinking harder about strategy. They discover it by answering the right questions. And through this process, we uncover your deeper message, the people you're meant to serve, the role you're meant to play, where it feels like this is like meant to be, like this is what I'm doing. This is that alive feeling that I have when I work in this way. And the business aligns with that true soul-led identity. Why questions work. Strategy gives people answers. But transformation happens when someone asks you the right questions. Sometimes you need kind of a person outside of you to help you shift your own perspective about you. And it can be difficult when we get lost in our own thought process and our own way of doing things. It can become difficult. It's like we get this tunnel vision where you don't see certain things, even though, maybe the universe is pounding down your door trying to tell you something, but you just don't see it. And we can be stuck in that for longer than we would like. And sometimes you need someone outside of you to come in and to show you that, just to remind you, just to show you, step out of this tunnel and kind of look at this. And it's something that was there all along, and something that you may have been repeatedly trying to show itself to you in your life, and you just don't see it because we get stuck so much in our brain, in our logical mind, that we stop listening to that deeper intuition. And they reveal truths people often haven't even articulated yet, but they're just right there. And this is how someone goes from saying, I want to build a coaching business, to realizing I'm actually here to lead a movement, or to go into this deeper work around this topic. And it's something that's already there, and it's something that's already within you, and you may already be doing. And that's the identity shift. When that happens, it's like everything clicks. It's like those puzzle pieces come together. So over the years, I realized something. My real gift, I thought it was strategies and marketing and all of this, but it wasn't, it wasn't just that. I taught strategies. But again, it came down to each individual person and where they were at and how they were seeing things. And it wasn't until I saw that if the identity beneath the strategy wasn't aligned, nothing really worked. And it was frustrating for me and frustrating for them. And that's when I really truly saw my own kind of power and ability in being able to step in as this person, as this coach, and help them see something that maybe has been there for a long time and they just haven't been able to see it. And it's helping them to see that deeper identity their business is asking them to step into, so their message, clients, and growth finally align, and it begins to work as if by magic. How to lead from your soul-led identity to create a business you love. We are clear on one thing. In order to build a business with more clients, more freedom, and more joy, and let me put in, of course, it's going to take work. Of course, it's going to take action. But again, it's not coming from that hustle culture, that, bro marketing, where you're doing things that you really don't want to be doing, where it doesn't really align with who you are. It's important to tap into that deeper identity so that you can go into those actions with, it's, everyone has the same amount of time in the day. And of course, I have a daughter and I have a household full of animals, and my husband also works full time with a woodworking business in the house, like just outside the house. So my time is, busy. Our house can be very chaotic, but if I look at other people, other coaches, some people may have more time or less time. But when you actually look at results, it's not always dependent on the amount of work that a person is doing. It comes down to this. Because if someone is aligned and working from that place where they're aligned with that kind of truer self, that truer identity that they're being asked to step into, things work. Things work better. And you still take the actions, but the actions start to yield the results that you want, versus taking actions and posting content and doing strategies and doing all of these things and nothing is working. So it's not really about the time. We all have time. Some of us don't have much time, but it's still, I've seen people with very little time invested in their business and still getting astronomically better results than someone that spends all their time on their business. And so that's not a factor here. When you lead from that soul-led identity, everything changes. Your message, again, it becomes clear. It becomes clear to you and to the people that you're, connecting with. Your work feels aligned and your audience recognizes you. Because a lot of the time, I've worked with people think that you need a huge following. For example, like if you're posting on Instagram, and you actually don't. You don't need videos to go viral. You don't need to be tapping into millions of people. You don't need that. Unless you want to be an influencer, but we're talking about building a real business where you are working with people that you want to work with and love working with. When I really tapped into this, I was working and I was plugging in with communities, and I had my own mentors and my own coaches. And the funny thing is, I had a list of 5,000 people on my email list, and some of these people had hundreds of thousands of people. And yet I got to this space where, because I was becoming more and more aligned with myself, and I stopped comparing myself so much to what everyone else was doing, I was able to have a higher conversion rate, if we're talking numbers, than a lot of these people with lists of 100,000 more on their email list. And I was working also with people that I loved working with. And this is how, I've continued to build my business, to be able to enjoy it and to actually work with people that I want to work with. And this is what I bring to clients and help them to see, because sometimes people get caught up in the numbers. I want to grow my list to whatever, hundreds of thousands, or my following, but that's not really an important question. It's not a question of how I can go viral or get 100,000 people on my Instagram, because if it's not the right people and you're not clear on your message, none of that's going to matter. You can have less than 5,000 people, less than 1,000 people. I've helped to build businesses where the account has under 100,000 or under 1,000 people, and it turns into a six-figure business, because the clients and the messaging and everything is so aligned that you don't need to chase those numbers. You are looking at things very differently. And now those simple strategies, and I teach simpler strategies. All these years, so many things have changed online, especially now with AI, with all of the stuff that, you have access to, with information, with tools, excuse me, with the way platforms have changed. All of that is there. But funny enough, all of these principles and this truth, what I'm teaching on this webinar, this will never change. And that connection that you build when you lead from this deeper place, it bypasses all of that other noise and all of the other things that you may think you need to build your business. And I teach simple strategies that work. And it's almost magical to people when it starts to shift and they start to see that shift in their own life. And it's amazing to be able to guide in that, to help with that. And that's my true calling and purpose. So you need a simple way to anchor into your true soul-led identity and build a business from that place with real simple strategies that actually work. That's why I've created a space where we build and launch your offer using simple strategies to get more clients while using the identity expansion method throughout the process. Because again, it's not something overnight. I'm not naive to say like, yes, you can just all of a sudden get rid of all of your fears and your overthinking and complication and imposter syndrome and all of that and get over being vulnerable and posting yourself online. It's not an overnight thing, but it can happen much faster than you think it can. And, if you're in a place right now where you feel like lost in these things and stuck in a month or in 6 weeks, you can be in a vastly different place with the right path. And so I have worked this into my program where we do this work, but built on the foundation of this identity expansion, where it can be uncomfortable. And I do want to push people into seeing those things about themselves faster because, I've always learned, like, how do you learn? You can learn from mistakes or from mentors. And learning through your own mistakes is what we all do, but it takes longer. Why not learn from someone that's already done it, that has the result that you want, and bypass some of those mistakes? Because, I've made a ton of mistakes over the years and had to learn from them, and did learn from them and was able to pass that on. And I also learned from mentors and coaches that had bypassed so many things that I could take from and I could learn. Like, this is why we invest in also in coaching and training and courses and all of that, because we want a faster route. And this is that faster route to get there. So again, it's not overnight, but you would be amazed at the shifts that you can make in a time that, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, and especially if you have kids, it feels like that. It feels like, I can't believe my daughter is going to be 7 at the end of this year. The time passes so fast. But when we're in it and we're like, especially if you're growing your business and you're trying to get to a certain goal, the day to day can feel kind of endless, right? The days are long, the years are short, but the time will pass. And it's not until you see how this shift can happen in what can feel like almost overnight to you, because a month passes and it can feel like nothing. It can feel like maybe the progress wasn't what you wanted it to be, but you accelerate all of that through this idea of learning and learning from people and learning from mentors and learning from coaches to accelerate that, so that you can actually step into the work you are meant to lead, the work of your true soul's calling. And this is where it feels like magic, and it can actually look like magic to the people that are watching you. So introducing the Signature Offer Lab. This is something I've really, built out the past few months and have put my heart and soul into. And this is kind of like I've turned it into a 6-week live experience where you build and launch your signature offer, and we refine that. And then we use simple content and clear sales processes, simple strategies where you don't need all of this complicated tech and systems and all of that. Clear, simple processes that are all grounded, though, in that identity expansion framework, where through those 6 weeks, as you're doing these processes and these simple strategies, we are also shifting that identity, where I am able to help you because it's live. It's a live experience. Do live Q&A calls every week. You do a clarity call with me getting started, and I'm here to reach out for questions and support. And I help you to accelerate it. I help you to see the things that you may get stuck on. And really the points where people get stuck, it always comes down to this identity of operating from trying to stay small. And so I do push you, and I do, ask you to be a little bit vulnerable, a little bit uncomfortable, but not to the point where you're doing things where you really don't align with it, where they feel like it's just not your type of thing to do. There is a difference between uh, bro marketing and doing all of those things that really don't align with who you are, whether you want to do videos or don't want to do videos. Any of those things. Like for me, a little story from my past. One of the places that I worked with when we lived in Canada was a call center, and I had to take calls all day. And I worked in a phone company, and I was in the retention department. So you can imagine I was pretty much yelled at. Had to take calls that had to only last 5 minutes. Big brother watching my screen and listening to my calls, call reviews, and all of that. And I hated it. And so when we came online, I knew, and my body told me, my nervous system said to me, we are not doing calls. Like, I think I didn't even have a phone for 2 years because I just didn't want to. But I had this pull and this feeling to do videos. And even though it was uncomfortable and vulnerable, I started to do them, and I started to become more comfortable in front of the camera. And I would go to like live conference events in the States, and people would approach me and know so much about me from my videos. And it was funny because I'm in person, I'm actually quite quiet and introverted. I'm an introvert, a hermit. And so it's like this kind of dichotomy of like loving to do videos and calls, and I spoke on stage, but I'm actually quite an introverted, quiet, highly sensitive person, which is probably why I didn't want to keep going on calls. And I discovered a system and a strategy for being able to build my business in a way that it would work, like building that list out of my email subscribers, and then connecting with people that I feel like also were people that just felt like I was meant to work with, where there was this instant connection. And this is that thing that where I really believe that when you step into and you start taking those actions, that the universe supports you, and it supports you in bringing those people to you. But it does take that work of connecting with that deeper identity, and stepping more and more out of staying small and operating from fear and self-doubt and confusion. And this is where my gift and my own kind of magic and purpose is in helping people see that about themselves, because I've worked with so many amazing coaches that sometimes they just don't see how good they are. And I shine that light on them and then help them to clarify things massively. Like I'm very much about the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. I tell that to myself all the time. And that is the foundation of it, to simplify things, not to overcomplicate, not to add more and more and more and do this and do that. And person is left feeling like even more frozen. It's about finding a simple path through it, being guided through that path, all the while being kind of pushed a little bit more and more out of that smaller identity and stepping into that bigger one. And so the transformation is huge, and can be huge just over 6 weeks. So you don't just come in here to create an offer. And this is for you if you already have offers out, if you are thinking of an offer, if you're working with clients, if you're a service provider, a practitioner, whether you're online or offline. The things that I teach are simple. And I do have the option of, more basic methods if you've never done anything online in this way, or more advanced. And so it's kind of where you find where you fit, and I help you into that path. And so you step into the identity needed to build a business that you actually love, and one that gets results, because let's face it, that's the important thing here. If you're building a business and your livelihood depends on it, that's an important factor. So what's included in the lab? So it goes from week 1 to week 6. Week 1, we really dive into identity and vision, and starting with those questions to start to unlock, go through that framework to start to unlock this identity within you, because this is the foundation. It's not about teaching the methods and teaching all of that first. You have to step into and build that solid foundation, because from that foundation, that's when things will start to work. And it's a process. It's not overnight. But the feedback I've gotten, I've included 5 steps to your most compelling vision as a training that I used to do always with my workshops and group programs, and always got such like incredible feedback. People would literally like, just even watching that would have such a huge shift that they would begin to operate differently just after watching that, and that's included in this. And then going through that kind of identity shift, that framework that you can work with and that we continue to work with as that foundation to build from. So it will feel uncomfortable because you will start to feel and change things, and you will start to see the changes in yourself and in your own work. And then we go through all of these steps together. So week 2 is leading through what is your breakthrough that you are using in your business to work with people, and clarifying that audience. And I have processes of how to do that. This isn't just about everyone teaches your avatar or whatever, but this is a deeper level of that, where you can begin to connect with people that you really want to connect with and that want to connect back with you. So defining your message, who you're here to serve. Week 3, we refine or create your signature offer. So whether or not you have offers already, we can refine something. We can find what it is that's kind of like the thing that you are meant to be known for. We have this feeling of something that we're meant to do, and I help you gain clarity on that. And maybe that you're already working with clients one-on-one in something that's not structured. You may be working with clients offline and trying to bring that process online. And so we create this offer that's aligned with this identity. And then week 4 is the guided webinar experience. It's a simple path of how to sell without using, fancy tech and fancy things. You can use fancy tech if you want, but you don't have to. Week 5 is content and messaging. This is where we really dive deep into the way that you share your message. I'm also a copywriting background, and so you have my eyes as well to help guide you through simplifying, because it's always like, the funny thing is that it's always a matter of stripping things away and simplifying them. And I don't know if it's just innate in us that we tend to always overcomplicate things. I find that with clients, they tend to overcomplicate things. And I literally come in and help them to strip the things that are not needed. And then that's when everything simplifies. It becomes easier to take those actions. And when you have that alignment with this identity that you're, shifting into and building from this kind of deeper place, the clarity is just incredible. It's like you just have this light bulb where you realize like it's much simpler than I thought it was. And even your offer, it can become so simple, and it's something you just may not see. And then week 6 is sales and clients. I have a simple framework, just 5 posts that we work together on creating and refining to get your next client. So included is live weekly Q&A calls. You get access to a private member dashboard with all the trainings and resources, step-by-step curriculum to guide you through the process. And I also included easy to follow templates, PDFs, resources, and you have action steps each week, simple action steps you take so that you're not trying to do all of this at once, right? We go step by step, and we go through these steps, and by the end of it, it's just incredible what you will have accomplished. It's amazing. And these are the bonuses that are included. I'm actually still adding more bonuses. So when you gain access, any updates I do, anything that's added in, you also get access to. But for now, you have the 30-minute clarity call, which we jump on right away. So when you register, you get access to your members dashboard. There's a questionnaire that you fill out. So it's like your pre-work, and immediately book a call with me. And I go through that questionnaire, see where you're at, and that way I can better support you through the whole process. Then, as I mentioned, the 5 steps to creating your most compelling vision module. There's a 30-day content plan template that you're given near the end. There's a momentum tracker spreadsheet, because this is about building that momentum and stepping out of this program where you are in action, where you are already in momentum, and to continue that, so you're not, just that's it, it's over, now what do I do? I give you your next 30-day plan. So that's the next, your 30-day plan is combined with this content plan and your spreadsheet. And it's a spreadsheet that I've used, that where I track everything, and you gain access to that. So this is for you if you're a coach, service provider, or practitioner who knows you're meant for more, but your business hasn't caught up yet. You're struggling to attract consistent aligned clients. You've tried different strategies, but nothing is fully clicking. You feel unclear on your message, offer, or direction. You want to build a business that feels aligned and makes money. You're ready to step into your true soul-led business on a strong foundation. So here's some of what people have said after working with me. Really, for me, I'm not going to, read them, but this is the reason why I do this. It's just amazing to be able to work with such amazing people that even from the years ago that I started are still, some of them are friends and sources of support and connection, because we connected so deeply working together that, and some people continue working with me after. And as well with the clients in more recent years where I was a little bit more behind the scenes, we developed this like deeper relationship and friendship. And it's just an amazing thing for me that, this is what drives me and fulfills me. So when you register, you will get immediate access to your members dashboard. So you fill out the questionnaire and book your offer clarity call with me. And honestly, for the amount of information and guidance you receive in this, I could easily charge for $19.97. I have invested thousands and thousands of dollars in myself over the years, working with different people, with coaches, with courses and trainings. And from all of that and all of the trial and error that I've gone through, I know it is so valuable, but I want to work with a group where it's accessible. And I want to go through this and help you get results and that momentum and build off of that. And this is a program that I'm going to continue to run, every 6 to 8 weeks going forward. So for now, the price will increase for sure, probably the next round, because I've been increasing the price each round. But for now, you can grab your spot for $5.97. So at the time you're watching this, right now it's $5.97. You may have to check the page, but there will be a next price increase for the next round. So I want to thank you for watching 42 minutes. The strategies you've been searching for aren't the missing piece. The real shift is that identity shift. When you step into the soul-led identity, your work is asking of you, your business finally has a foundation that it needs to grow on. That's when aligned clients appear. That's when prosperity begins to flow. And if you are joining the lab, have joined the lab, about to join the lab, I am so, so excited to guide you to the next level and to work with you. I'm just so thrilled and can't wait. So thank you for watching this. If you have any questions about anything, please reach out to me, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook or email. Let me know if you have questions. I always respond. And if you have enjoyed this, I appreciate you taking the time. And yes, thank you for being here. As we always say in Costa Rica, Pura Vida. Ciao, ciao.